Hello and welcome back to the 8th episode of the Talking League podcast. I'm Shane Campbell and alongside me we have Ashton Lima and Jared Buckle. Gents, how are we doing?
Always fantastic. Having a great week. Tottenham are playing United tonight, so I'm feeling good.
Good stuff. Ashley, how are you doing, man?
I'm feeling great. I'm not too happy about Newcastle, but yeah, I'm feeling outstanding.
Good stuff. And joining us in studio tonight, we have an old friend of mine, Nyamukomba. Welcome to the show, Willie.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been looking forward to this since we agreed to do this, and yeah, it's good to finally be here.
It's great to have you here. The only problem with Will, of course, is he's wearing an Arsenal shirt, but we will forgive him for not being perfect. Before we begin tonight, we'd like to give our sponsor 197 Engineering a massive shout out. To contact them and find out how they can help you, please call Cody Wesson on 011-892-1334. We will also leave their details in the podcast description below. Boys, we ready for kickoff?
Boom!
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay, so topic number 1. I'm going to start with you, Will. Would you just like to introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about yourself?
Okay, I'm Will, football coach. I played for many years, defensive midfielder, and now I'm passing on what I've learned to a whole bunch of kids, and it's quite fun, you know. They teach you a lot, these kids. You teach them and you learn a lot yourself, and it's quite good.
I'd just like to add to that, he said a defensive midfielder. He didn't say the best defensive midfielder because that's exactly what he was. He used to play for me for a couple of years at Kempton Park, and people talk about having that one player that shields the defenders. He did exactly that. In fact, he was so good at that job. All I did was stand and count the hairs on the back of his head the whole game because that's all I saw. It was fantastic to watch. Well, being an Arsenal fan, you must be finding things a little bit sticky at the moment. I'd like to get from you, in your opinion, what is going on at Arsenal? What's been wrong? I know they've just sacked the manager, but in your opinion, pre-Emery and post-Emery, what's happening?
Well, with Emery, what happens is he started off very well because he was playing according to the philosophy that he's had all these years, and then somewhere along the line he lost it, you know, and then he started playing people like Torreira out of position. Kundwezi was the one now defending, you know, playing the defensive midfield role, but he's more of a deep line playmaker than an actual defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
He doesn't make any tackles.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, a few things that went wrong. Constantly changing the squad. He wasn't taking accountability, and the players don't take accountability themselves, you know. And as long as they don't rectify that, it's going to continue, because at some point we need to take accountability for our mistakes. Not just accept that we've made a mistake, but be held accountable for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And tell me, how do you feel about the whole Xhaka thing? What happened with him? Being booed off, swearing the crowd, chucking his armband, and all of that whole story.
Once again, accountability, because the supporters were giving him what he had deserved from his performances. His performances were atrocious.
Yeah.
Right, and we've all been through these things. Even at amateur level, you get criticized. And do you take it on the chin, or do you simply whine and, you know, go crazy like he did?
Yeah.
He was supposed to take it on the chin and move on, and, you know, not react that way.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Well, I've got a question for you. I wanted to find out, you know, obviously the transfer market's coming up, and, you know, Arsenal, they did spend a lot last season, but coming into the January markets, would you see any like people leaving or coming in?
For me, it's a centre-back issue. I think there was a lack of ambition when they brought in David Luiz, you know. Rugani was available from Juventus. So now I've been looking at Pau Torres from Villarreal.
Okay.
They said he's doing very well there, and I looked at some of his clips on YouTube. Unfortunately, I haven't watched him in the game, you know.
Sure.
But they say he's pretty good, and for me, if they address the centre-back problem, maybe bring in William Saliba for the future.
Yeah.
I mean, they loaned him back to where they buy him from. Some French team. But yeah, they loaned him back there, and I think we can actually
This
just...
is not low.
Yeah,
It could have been.
yeah, we can just take him back and have him mix with the team. You never know how he can do.
But I saw... Oh, sorry.
Twinsies.
Do you think that Arsenal's attack, especially if they don't do well or even make Europa League this year, do you think the likes of Mesut Ozil or Aubameyang are actually going to leave from outside interest? I know Ozil hasn't been getting as much game time as he would like or as he deserves, because in my opinion he's one of the best players at Arsenal. And with competition like Lacazette and all those guys up front, do you see those guys eventually leaving and then leaving you guys with a massive gap up front, essentially?
It can happen. It's Arsenal at the end of the day, and they've demonstrated many times that they're not scared to sell to their opponents. The only one I do see leaving though is Aubameyang.
Okay.
Lacazette is a bit of a fighter. Aubameyang, I see him going to Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Funny enough,
Wow.
I see him
Direct.
Judas.
I see him going to Chelsea. But it wouldn't be his fault, There was a time where I was really angry with Robin van Persie.
Yes.
But it wasn't his fault. You start off playing with a really good squad and you see them leaving one by one. I mean, why would you wanna stay? Nasri left, Fabregas left, everyone was just going. Why must he stay?
And Ozil, do you think he would stay?
Ozil, I don't think anyone's gonna make an offer.
Not for the salary he's earning.
Yeah, and also he hasn't, like you're saying, he hasn't played, so he hasn't displayed himself. We all know what Ozil can do on the stage, but they need to see that he still has those moments in him.
I think Arsenal have caught themselves in a big trap there.
Yeah. He's lost that competitive edge about him.
He plays more Fortnite than he plays football.
With Google eyes, I'm sure you can see it coming.
I also wanted to ask, do you think Leno is a very underrated keeper?
Oh, Bernd Leno, I love him. He's very good. He's very good. And this weekend he made very good saves, 2 crucial saves.
Kept you in the game.
And last year that Leicester City 3-1 game could have ended 5-1, 6-1.
Sure.
And he was absolutely brilliant. 2 top corner saves.
Yeah.
And I mean, with his feet, he's amazing. With his feet, he can play with the rest of the team. And those are modern day keepers nowadays.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ball playing keepers. And considering the defenders he's got in front of him, he's actually done a flipping good job there.
Yeah, I wouldn't save a single shot here, but those guys.
Oh goodness, actually so talking about Arsenal now, we're going to go back to this weekend's results. Is there any results for you guys that have stood out from this past weekend? Jay, do you want to start maybe? Was there something that caught your eye?
Obviously, every single week I talk about Tottenham. They are my team. It's the ones that always stand out the most for me. I'm just worried about us conceding so many goals. Like the Olympiacos game, we conceded 2 very early on. We did come back from that. But in the Premier League, our scores always seem to be 3-2. And we seem to break away 3-0, 3-1, and then all of a sudden we give that last goal away. And we almost lost our game this weekend because the Cherries almost scored in that, literally the last minute, that counter attack, and then Vertonghen coming in with that.
That was a
incredible
phenomenal
tackle.
bit of defence.
Complacency.
So I am a little bit worried. Obviously, there's a lot of work on. I'm just glad we're scoring goals and a few of them. But I think we need a little bit of sustainability at the back. Obviously, Mourinho is shuffling players, seeing what he likes, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. We're either going to play back 3, back 4, but we need to decide, because I think players are also getting slightly confused, and it's putting them a bit on the back foot in terms of defence, and especially in the last minutes of the game where we seem to drop off.
Yeah, but you see, for me, it's not so much a defence problem, because I see a lot of Spurs fans saying, we've got to fix our defence. For me, it's not the defence per se, it's the team mentality. I think we're getting so complacent, like Will said, in the last 10-15 minutes of the game. The whole team's tempo drops, and we just start sitting back. We're not fighting for those second balls, and I think oppositions are picking up on that, and they know if you start going at Spurs and start pressing them high up at the end of the game, that's where we're getting lazy and complacent. So in saying that, Mourinho is a very defensive-minded coach. He likes to keep his
Park
sides.
the bus,
Park the bus. There's a reason they say that. So I think he's well aware of what's happening, and I think he's trying to just drill it into the players, but he understands that mentality is harder to change than a skill of a person. He can coach you to be a better player, to pass the ball better, defend better, get in better positions. But changing someone's way of thinking, that's the next thing. And I think
2
any coach
seasons
can
ago, Vertonghen and Alderweireld were labelled as the best defending pairing in the league, and they were like that for a long time. I mean, they're still the same guys. They just they seem to have lost it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they haven't been playing together in games. Sanchez has come through to the back, and it's either Alderweireld or Vertonghen. They're not playing together anymore.
But I think for me, I always look at the midfield, because they are crappy defenders.
Yeah.
And these two guys, like you said, they're not crappy defenders because they do well on international duty.
Yeah.
But what helps them do better international duty?
The people in front of them.
The midfielders in front of them.
Yeah.
Whether it's a defensive midfielder or whether it's just a deep line playmaker. Just having that extra body there to help you out. The number 10 receives the ball and there's 3 players around him. Whether or not this one can tackle doesn't matter. Just that pressure forces him into making an error. And I mean, Davidson Sanchez, he's very good.
Yeah. He's actually underrated.
An athlete.
Even in a CDM, he can really play well at CDM. He doesn't even have to play at centre back. It's one of those difficult ones as well because if you look at our CDM, so to speak, we've got Ndembele, Sissoko, Harry Winks.
Dyer.
Dyer. But to me, Dyer is not even a midfielder. I would even put him at defensive. Centre back. For me, he's very strong in that position. He can move forward, but you'll like in that first game that Mourinho played with Dyer, and he took him off in the first 20 minutes. It's because he's not an attacking player by any means, and that's what his job was for that game essentially.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you take him out at centre back. He would have done incredibly well. I really do believe he could have he could make a difference at centre back rather than in the midfield.
I think that's the long-term goal with him at the moment. I think coaches are looking at him, and Pochettino had the same dilemma with him. Is he a better centre CDM or a better centre back? I mean, we even played him at right back a couple of games when he was not. I'm not saying fitter, just a little bit trimmer.
Yes.
We played him at right back.
The thing that saves him a lot and why he gets put into a midfield position is because of his composure. He's very solid on the ball. He's very level-headed. He's also very good at controlling the games and the players around him. So if you ever watch Eric Dyer when he's standing in the mid, he does this really well with England as well. Is he directs play? So you can actually see him off the ball, speaking to players, which is not something you see in the modern game quite a lot, apart from a captain. But he's one of those guys that gets stuck in all the time, and no one is offended by him doing so because of the type of person he is. Whichever team he plays for, he puts everything into that team essentially, whether it be England, Tottenham, whatever. I'm sure it's something that he's gathered over the years, a skill that he's developed.
His experience,
Nice.
Sorry, we digress from going to highlights of the game to talking in depth about Eric Dyer.
Speaking of highlights from the weekend's games, Willie, what was an interesting result for you?
For me, two interesting games.
Okay.
Arsenal Norwich.
Yeah.
For Norwich, not Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the Southampton Watford game. Looking at the other end of the table, relegation zone, I think Watford is in a lot of trouble. They sending managers out, bringing them back in, sending them out. And remember, when you bring them back in, you've essentially brought someone back into a team that he can't manage, and you've sold players that he would have managed in the past.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't have gone anywhere, you've actually gone backwards. And Kike Sanchez-Flores can't work with those guys.
No.
And it really looks like they're going to go down now.
Do you think it's also the lacking having Troy Deeney in the setup? Because he was quite an inspirational character on the field. Very physical.
Delafeu has the same amount of energy and verve.
Yeah.
He runs around. That goal they got against Arsenal.
Okay, yeah.
It was just his pressing.
Yeah. That tenacity.
Yeah, he forced Arsenal into an error. And it's bad that he's the only one. They need a few more others.
That's the thing.
But he's still there, I think.
I found Watford have just been so unlucky. I've seen them open on goal, one-on-one with the keeper, and they miss those opportunities. I mean, those are the things that you can't miss. But if they had got those, it would be a completely different story. And it's not just like a lack of striking power or finesse or anything along those lines. For me, it's
pure luck.
It's pure luck, yeah. It's just off the post kind of stuff,
But defensively as well, they were very good in the post.
Yeah, Janmaat,
Holebas was like, it was very good.
But touching on also Southampton, if they keep the players that they've sent out over the years, You know, you get Mane, you get Van Dijk, you get all these big
Alderweireld
players.
was even
Alderweireld
there at
as well.
Southampton.
If they had to keep those players now, obviously they'll be in a different position. But at the same time, it's also that coaching level and that demotivation, obviously losing so many games in the first half. But your views on Southampton, what did you say, how to improve them now going forward? Obviously, they're in the rough. They're going to stay there for quite a long time and maybe not even get out of relegation. But what are your views if you had to coach a team, because you are a coach currently?
Yeah.
How would you improve the motivational spirit or players per se in the team, like Villafeu, like you said, and to get other youthful strikers instead of, you know, the strikers that are playing now, and also to improve the defense and goalkeeper? What is your views?
Well, for me with Southampton, it all went wrong because I used to follow them quite closely. What went wrong was they lost their recruitment, whatever it was,
Head of
scouts.
recruitment.
Yeah, head of recruitment.
Is that Paul Mitchell guy?
Yes, he was very good, you know, because whenever a player was performing, they would essentially assume that he was leaving. This was how Southampton operated. They knew that this player is playing very well, he's going to leave, and they would have a replacement immediately. When Morgan Schneiderlin was being scouted, they immediately had a replacement. When Mane was about to leave, they were looking at Sofiane Boufal, and he apparently, you know, he didn't live up to the bill. But when that went out the way, of course, their problems are compounding. But back to your original question, if I was the coach of Southampton, it's too flashy for me. I think their possession game is very good. It's not progressive enough, in my opinion. You know, they're doing everything right. They're moving the ball about, but they're eating up too much time with the ball. I mean, Redmond wants to run. Claude Puel struggled with Vardy because it was too intricate at times. You know, just play the ball behind, let Redmond go, and he'll fight for scraps. He'll hit it into the net.
Yeah.
It's not the Bundesliga. You have to up the pace in the Premier League.
Sure, that's actually a very good breakdown of it, because now that you mention it, I can see it and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, get the ball, 1-2 touch, boom, go.
Yeah.
Instead of, like you say, flashy and trying things, play to what you've got on the field. Like you say, look at Redmond.
Yeah.
He's pacey, he wants to run at people. Either put balls behind defenders or give it to him and let him have a go at them. So, it's spot on.
Ings wants to bully people. Shane Long also wants to run behind, you know. Ings doesn't mind you putting the ball in between him and the centre back. You shove him off and hit it into the net. It's simple. It's simple.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking about teams that are struggling, guys, Everton. I don't know if you watched the game on the weekend. For me, that was an unlucky team. Everton did not deserve the result on the weekend. I feel sorry for them because
That first half was...
Man.
Yeah.
hey, like if someone's gonna go and take Leicester on, I never expected Everton to do it, and they did a damn good job. And then unlucky at the end, they conceded the goal, lose 2-1, and their problems continue to mount. Is he the next manager to go? I don't know. I can't see. And now they've got Everton. In fact, they've got mad games coming up. Everton. They've got Liverpool. If I'm not mistaken, it was Chelsea, Arsenal, and there was another big one, all in a row. Do you see it getting better for Everton? I don't. Do they sack the manager now and bring in who?
Well, that's the thing, if they sack the manager now, it'll be a death wish.
Who's going to want to come and manage with those games coming up?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? This could actually be the turning point. You know, maybe they just need this little bit of extra pressure in order to actually perform.
Exactly.
Because I didn't see much wrong with them, to be honest, against Leicester.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the only problem is losing to Leicester after a game like that.
And they generally play well against top teams. I mean, Merseyside derbies haven't been easy for
Yeah, it's
Liverpool
never been one side.
in multiple years. You know, in 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Last year, Pickford had to make a mistake for Liverpool to win.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, no way.
Jack Yeckles scored that cracker where they drew 1-1 not too long ago as well.
I had Pickford as my fantasy league goalkeeper.
They struggle to play against teams that finish below them generally.
Because they park the bus.
Yeah.
Those teams will park the bus, and 2 banks of 4, Everton can't break that down. I mean, Spurs even battle to break that down. We like teams playing ball as well, so we can, it's give and go.
Yeah.
We
But-
draw them out and then chuck it over.
Yeah, exactly. But back to my Everton concern is, I don't know how true the rumors are, but they're saying possibly David Moyes wants to come back.
Oh, really?
No ways.
Why would they take David Moyes back? I mean, the man's hungry. I guarantee you, he wants to go back and manage at Everton.
Yeah.
I don't think the Everton fans want him back. Personally, I wouldn't take him back. It's a used part.
Exactly.
You sold your car, driven a couple of other cars, not liked them. Now you want to go back and buy your.
Exactly. Those are not even his players at the end of the day. It's the Kike Sanchez Flores thing again. You know, it's
It's a repetitive thing.
exactly.
And I also saw that Richarlison renewed his contract. So that's a main pushing forward for, obviously Everton increasing.
But he hasn't been playing well recent. In like compared to how he started off the season.
Yeah.
Richarlison was.
So do you think he's lucky to get a renewal of his contract, or?
Well, not lucky. I feel like he could do a lot better elsewhere. I feel like his time's been spent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if the Rich Olsen that I saw at the beginning of the season when he remember you saw that video when he got selected for the Brazil team and he went absolutely nuts and everybody was so proud.
Yeah.
I feel like that like hit a pinnacle for him.
That was the point. You're right.
So he needs more motivation, more goals set out for him, because I think he was playing for that, and now that he's received it, it seems that it's like
He's regressed, just. What next now?
Yeah, exactly. It's because that was his main goal. Like he kept saying like I want to do this, I want to Brazil. And then you saw that video with him sitting with his whole family, and when his name got called up, he went absolutely ballistic. And then,
Maybe it's just lost sight of it as well. I mean, with the team not doing so well, it's very easy to go into a shower and just stop playing good football and forgetting your goals, and all of a sudden your goals go out the window because the team's goals are now more important. What are we trying to achieve as a team?
Yeah.
And like you say, maybe he's too scared to do certain things in a game because they're struggling so bad. But my thing is, on their contract renewal, maybe the club have said to him this, and they've got a certain manager lined up in the next month or so to try and keep him, and that's why I signed. Because for me, that's what I'm saying. Is he lucky, or has he been told something?
Yeah, he
To be
must know
getting it.
something.
Surely, because we've seen it at clubs before. There's generally a feel of a new manager coming in, and then all of a sudden players start raising their game, or they're getting contracts, and then that new manager's in the door, and guys are playing ball again. It's happened with us.
And actually, if you think about the caliber of managers that are up in limbo at the moment, that don't have a team,
Allegri.
It's mad.
Argentina, I mean,
I was thinking it wouldn't be,
I want Allegri.
can
And
you
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Allegri.
He'd be the
I
perfect.
really want
He's
manager.
defensive.
Exactly.
What's he gonna do when he sees Socrates, David Luiz,
Socrates.
Out, get out.
Mustafi?
That should be one of my least favorite players in that one Socrates.
Socrates.
I don't like him. It's just something.
Is it the name?
No, I like the Greeks. Greeks are cool. I've got a Greek tattoo. I'm not even Greek.
He wasn't called to the Greek national team for international duty this past.
I'm on the same side as
National
him.
That is terrible. That's how terrible his
And the
team.
Greek team's doing bad. So can the national team. So can you imagine how bad you do?
Imagine.
That's a team that does select from farmers and dentists and things. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all our Greek friends out there. We're just having a little joke and laugh about it. No harm. If you want to supply us with some more awesome Greek cuisine, please do so. The show would love to have that sponsor.
Wasn't Marky Greek?
Even a holiday.
Chocolate.
No, yes, maybe. Actually, what results stood out for you this week? And please don't tell me City.
No, I'm not going to bring up City. I'm very I think that will be the worst one. But I think Bayern Munich and Leverkusen, that one
City
shook me
did
big
well
time.
against Burnley yesterday.
Yeah, they did. But it's Burnley.
Jared's
you
a
know?
secret City fan.
No, not at all. I'm trying to get him to talk about this.
No, that one have to be on solid mode. Oh. I think Bayern Munich and Leverkusen did stand up for me. Remember we predicted high scores for Bayern Munich because they had such a good season.
And then they turned it.
And then
It's
like
a derby
Leverkusen,
champion.
I understand how good Leverkusen are as well because they got Havertz, they got Jonathan Tah. They're oozing with talent. But the thing is, when you have a booming team like Bayern Munich losing 2-1, obviously to Leverkusen, and the thing is, Bayern Munich needed to get to the top spot because I think top spot. I think
We don't drink on the show, just by the way.
this didn't say onion. I think with obviously Leipzig and Bayer. Sorry, I'll get the name. Yeah, that's it. So I think obviously they wanted to get back to the top spot, and that was the game to do it because Leverkusen are a team also grabbing that top 4 spots, and the players in Leverkusen as well. It's not as expensive, if you know what I mean. Like they're not as good as Bayern Munich players, but they have nearly the same talent in that game for some reason. And the thing is, Bayern Munich has been performing. You know, Lewandowski's been there, Coutinho is pushing. You see Goretzka pushing. You see even the likes of Neuer coming. He's pushing so he can keep his spot in Germany. You got so many players just booming, and then you get to a game against Leverkusen where you're supposed to be showing what you're made of, and you're supposed to show that you've been winning these titles for the past how many years, and now you want to get it to Leverkusen.
Was Munich at home as well, right?
Yeah, Munich was.
But it's a derby, isn't it?
Isn't I thought
Dortmund,
Munich and Dortmund?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it could be.
It's a derby.
Yeah,
Because remember, Dortmund plays a derby against Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're from the same area.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. I think it's more the case of they've got two kinds of derbies, same English Premier League with United and Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's like a rival game.
yeah, correct.
yeah.
And then the other one is an actual derby.
So
'Cause I think
Dortmund and Munich would be like a rival derby,
Yes.
opposed to being actually a local.
The local one. I think they're in the same area
Yeah,
of Germany.
yeah, for the Ravens.
So I think that's why they would upset them that way. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, Espanyol does really well against Barcelona whenever they meet Barcelona.
It's Pochettino's
Sevilla
team,
as
as
well.
well.
Catalonia derby. So, you know, and whenever you look at that fixture, you think Barcelona should win it. But just because they're situated in the same city, they just want the bragging rights.
Yeah, I actually think we need to get Malopo on the show one day, Momo from the Northerns, because he's a Barca fan, and I'd be interested to pick his brain a bit of what's happening about Barcelona, but we'll save that for another podcast. Guys, fantasy league football.
Favorite.
I'm not gonna even. I want you guys to get some tips and tricks in the bit. I'm not gonna give any because I've been doing so atrocious on that fantasy league at the moment. So
Myself this season as well. I've been so unlucky. I've literally like last year I had a really good run. I came like second and third and first in a couple of the leagues because I always run as many.
and there was
leagues
only
as
3
possible.
people in those leagues.
But no, but this season now in the same leagues with the same like the same bunch of guys, I'm sitting like proper mid-table, and it's my problem is I keep signing players, and as soon as I sign them, they either get injured or benched, or they get a red card in the first game, and it's just been driving me nuts. But I feel like let's see. Oh, and now talking about injured players, let's see.
Martial's injured for tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Alisson got a red card for Liverpool.
Abraham from Chelsea is injured. He's only got a 50% chance of playing with a hip injury. Van Aanholt's injured himself yesterday. Well, no, he did play a little bit, but not long. How many minutes did he play? He played 28 minutes, but he's got a hamstring injury, so that's going to shoot me. And then also players just falling out of form. Who else do I have here? Like Mount, I don't know. He's in the last 2 weeks or so, I haven't seen much.
He went through that phase of a month where he was scoring, assisting, and
Yeah.
now I put him in my team, and then he stops doing all of that.
Madison.
James Madison.
Yeah, he's done the same for me. He was doing so well as soon as I bought. I'm a cursed person here. The same thing happened with Pookie from Norwich.
No, I remember that clear as day.
He was doing so well. I got him into my team. Everything was going like super fantastic. I probably did 2 weeks of him doing like really well on my team. Everybody else scored for like a whole month, and then all of a sudden he just dropped off, and we haven't seen anything from him since. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, points are lacking.
Well, on my side, I'm doing
Let me have a look at your team.
quite bad. I'm doing quite bad this year.
Sure.
Virgil van Dijk actually rescued my
For
whole weekend.
an Arsenal supporter, I do not see a single Arsenal player.
Because he's smart.
It's a game, right? I don't want Arsenal to lose, be upset at that, and then I don't have any points.
See, I don't have any Arsenal.
It's like you angry twice essentially.
It's
you
called
know?
double bluffing.
Yeah,
I do the
no,
same thing. I'll
don't.
bet against Spurs. If they win, I'm happy.
I mean, imagine.
But if
yeah.
they lose, I make money.
You can't be disappointed twice.
No.
So yeah, well, my tip to people out there is that don't be scared to swap out players, man. If they're not doing well, just get rid of them.
Even the big players.
Yeah, no, get rid of them. And don't pay for clean sheets. The Premier League has no clean sheets. If you can put 2 defenders in there, I know you can't, but if you could have 2 defenders in there,
That would be the way.
that would be the best, because there's no clean sheets in this league.
I see you've got Virgil van Dijk there. Like in fantasy football, he's generally not a high scorer. Because to score points in fantasy football, you need to have clean sheets for a defender or either score goals. I know he scored 2 goals last week.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying that's like the only real high scoring points that he's got recently. Because Liverpool haven't been keeping clean sheets as much as much as they've been winning.
Yeah.
Their clean sheets are what get defenders points.
Yeah, it's tricky. And I suppose one of the things with defenders as well is not to have 2 from the same team in your game.
Exactly.
Because let's just say you've got 2 Spurs defenders and they get thumped 4-0. You're losing points from 2 Oaks.
Yeah.
My thing that I always see happens in my fantasy league, the goalkeeper and the strikers are playing against each other. So a goalkeeper to keep points has to obviously have a clean sheet and then as many saves as they possibly can. And then for a striker to get points, they have to have goals.
Yeah.
And I always look at that and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do well this week because either my goalkeeper's not going to get any points or my striker's not going to get any points.
Yeah.
So generally I like to make sure that I go for the better of the two. So if I'm backing my striker, then I'll take that goalkeeper out and then put my reserve goalkeeper. I know some people, their reserve goalkeeper isn't even a person that starts in a team essentially. But it's always good to have 2 good goalkeepers because the goalkeepers there's not like a massive price difference between goalkeepers, if that makes sense, in the whole league.
Yeah, like your best goalkeeper and your worst.
Yeah, it's very similar, yeah. So I think that's where people make a lot of mistakes is they go for a very low ranking goalkeeper. Meanwhile, they could have a starting goalkeeper for the same price, yeah.
Well,
I see that quite often.
It happens with me as well. I actually have 2 accounts where the one account where I just have fun, like I just put any name I want and I'm like, okay, this guy's starting to shine, I'll just put him in. But my other accounts I have a bit more focus in and I compete with a lot of friends where we actually bet on it and stuff. But obviously, in order for your team to do well, you have to watch games and you have to see how each player performs at their best. And where I see with teams is obviously if you're playing with your friends, like you involved with money and stuff, obviously you want to be a bit more serious. So what I do is I have obviously a list of teams and stuff where I see, okay, this person gets this amount of points, this person gets this amount of points, but I also average it out of all the players as well on the top spots. And the thing is, obviously, if you're budgeting, you don't want to go full out on the big names where, let's say, for the likes of Salah, and then, you fall short where he only has like maybe 10 points for that whole month or something like that. So with my aspect being, where your full focus has to be when you watch games and stuff, but at the other sense is you have to see how big teams perform as well on the actual list when you're playing with a team with players in the league or stuff like that. So like let's say you in my league now, Shane, and the thing is if you're in my league and I check, okay, this is what you do, other teams are also having this amount of players and those players are picking up a certain amount of points, obviously I want to copy that so I can also gain points over time. But at the same time you always have to look at, like let's say Dele Alli, for example, he's going to be starting, he's going to do well. And if I was you, I'd put him in the team straight away because he's reignited, he's got that form going up now.
Yeah.
And
his price has gone up by 3 million.
Sure.
Yeah, he's on 8 point something now and he was on 6 because he wasn't starting, 6 or 7.
And he got 3 goals, didn't he?
2 goals and an assist.
Yeah, 2 goals and an assist.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's cruising. Yeah, but we got the Dele Alli back that we had a couple seasons ago.
We've got
Dele
Dele
Alli. He only cost 5 mil. He's better than Ozil.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Hashtag fanboys. Sorry, Ashton.
No, that's just
your moment.
That's just. I think also bigger points come from goals and assists. Obviously you want to focus on, like let's say when you said Van Dijk with 2 goals, he obviously brought a lot of points for some Liverpool or some supporters in general just to win that, that league. So I think never invest in centre backs in general because they're not in those positions where they can give us assists most of the time. Besides like Nyamukomba, what's that his name from Leicester City? Yeah, him, and then the likes of Virgil. But rather go for like Pereira or Doherty or like those wing backs that's pushing like
wing backs assists get you points. Like Robertson. For Liverpool, he's got a lot. Yeah, they get a lot.
But how do you address the money?
Van Arnold.
The centre backs are cheaper.
They are cheaper in a sense, but you also have to budget in terms of points. You can't always budget for the bench. That's what I say. I know you budget for gems. That's what I call it. I budget for the lowest gems as possible. Like let's say Kedwell, if he was like let's say 3 million at the time. No players less than 4 million. But I'm just saying as an example where you invest in the gems that you know they're going to do well in the season. And let's say if you do that bench boost or something, obviously they're going to bring in this point. So you have to look at, because it's only my second season doing this where I'm doing the fantasy, but my views are you can't always budget on your bench. I never invest in centre backs generally. Only when I like with my fun around team, I just put like my own formation that I'll use in FIFA. But the thing is, you need to invest in like players. Obviously, if they're going to get injured, you have to replace them now and then. But you can't waste your budget on players that you know they're overpriced or they don't really bring in much points. And at the same time, you have to look at injuries. You have to keep those free transfers in view. You can't just waste your free transfer.
I do it every week.
So yeah, that's my main views in order to maybe do better.
But see now, I'm looking at Will's team, and with you, what you're saying, you don't invest in centre backs. Will's got five centre backs, literally.
Straight.
Literally
Straight.
5 centre backs in his starting lineup here. 3 midfields, 2 up front.
I played 3. They actually came in because of my
the injuries. Yes. Okay.
I played 3 centre backs. I really hoped that Leicester City could keep a clean sheet. And I was hoping Liverpool. I mean, it's Brighton. They're pretty much toothless.
Yeah.
But they couldn't keep the clean sheet. And I usually play Ake.
He's picked up a lot of points as well.
Okay, I started with him this year, and I took him out because as much as he could be a consistent 3-pointer, if that makes sense. And it just wasn't doing for me, so I sold him.
He frustrates me because he doesn't talk, Ake. He can really defend. But Cook leaves him out to dry all the time.
But see, then it comes back to that point. The only way you get points in the fantasy league is with the defenders, either clean sheets, and I don't see much clean sheets coming from there. So then, assists, crosses, passes.
But he's given me 2 clean sheets. Okay.
Yeah, 2. And
If you don't sleep in your bed tonight, you'll get another clean sheet. just have a listen.
Okay. Your team, Mr. Campbell.
Listen to my team at the moment, and this is the playing team. I've got Ryan in goals, and he is playing against Arsenal next. Holding thumbs. I've got 3 at the back: Van Dijk, Pereira, and Nathan Ake. And then in the midfield, I've got 4 there who I think are going to get me some points. Daniel James, hopefully not tonight against Spurs. Got Dele Alli, Mason Mount, and Haynes Madison.
Wow, you've got such that midfield.
It sounds strong.
Yeah, I know.
But it's Shane Campbell you're talking about. I'm not going to get any points, am I? I just know me. And then my front 3 will be Jimenez from Wolves, just because it's Wolves and they're doing pretty well. I got Harry Kane, of course, and then Bobby Firmino.
Wow.
He always comes up with the goods, hey? He really does. He's such an underrated striker. He doesn't score as many goals because he's always assisting.
Yes.
And he's taking defenders away with him. He's an incredibly smart player. So I hope I get points for that.
But I see that you benched Nyamukomba.
You know what? It was a bit of a it was a toss-up before between Jimenez. So I was gonna go 5 in the midfield and then take out 1 striker, but I thought, let me just gamble. And then again, West Ham and Wolves are playing each other, so it was one or the other.
Yeah.
So then on my bench, I've got Yarmolenko, I've got Kelly, who scored 6 points last night, and he's on my damn bench. So that's disappointing. And then I got Wolf Bolly. I've got Bolly on bench, who's been injured for a long time now from Wolves. So that one I won't take up because he is a good defender. When he gets back, hopefully I'll score some points there.
Can't you swap him out and bring him back in on this fit?
I could, but it's not really a transfer I need to make at the moment. What I think I might do over the Christmas period is play bench boost, and then I'll swap him out. Because then I want everyone on the bench to be fit. to be using bench boost, and I really messed up. I wanted to gamble this year, and I played triple captain earlier in the season.
Oh no, I'm holding on to
And
that.
Harry Kane just got 90 minutes under his belt, no goals, no assists that game. I was so disappointed. I got a whole 6 points on triple captain.
Wow.
The biggest waste of my life. But nonetheless, if he had scored a hat trick that game, I'd be smiling. But once again,
You'll be
Shane
sitting on
Campbell,
like
so
50.
I'm not.
I always wait for a double fixture before playing triple captain.
Yeah, but you know what? They used to show you when the double fixture was coming up, the double game week. They don't do that anymore. They choose it on the.
It's random.
It's random because I used to do the same thing. I used to say all of my wild cards for them, and I used to play them all and get major points. They didn't do it last season, and that really frustrates me because it's normally in December
Yeah.
where they got that double game.
Yeah.
Week. So like this week would have been. It is actually a double.
Yeah, it is a
It
double.
is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, most
Midweek.
people played this weekend and then
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday. Yeah.
I said that on the south.
'Cause I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You just have to be really careful now, because if you can get it right,
Oh, there's points to be
if you
made.
can get it right, then it's definitely worth it.
Oh, guys, so fantasy league. That's it in a nutshell. There's no real exact science to it because sometimes it doesn't even work off. Or pay off, I should say. Let us move on, boys. Guess or mess. Our 3 fixtures we are going to be getting our scores from this week is starting off tonight, United v Spurs. Second off, we've got the Manchester Derby with City and United. And thirdly, shame. Thirdly is Liverpool versus Everton in the Merseyside Derby. Ashton, I'm going to start with you. Give me your scores for the 3 games.
Okay, for United versus Spurs, Spurs 2-1.
Yes, boy. Next.
And then for City versus United, City, where is the thing?
Don't blush, it's fine.
I think it'll be 2-0 for City. 2 Cities, right? 2-0.
Okay. Merseyside Derby.
Merseyside, I think Everton's gonna take it.
Yes, boy! Come on, you
I
toffees!
think they're gonna beat them 1-0.
Yo.
Wow. No
Okay.
goals from Liverpool.
Who's gonna score the winning goal there?
Richarlison.
Shucks, maybe I'll.
Yeah.
I just think about
Let's do that.
it.
Mad. Willie, scores. What's happening?
United Spurs. I'm going United. Loses. United.
Well played.
2-1. 2-1.
2-1 as well.
Because they're not toothless. United always score, and I think Spurs will outscore them tonight. City United. Like I said, United are not toothless. I think it's going to end 4-2 in favor of City.
Wow.
High scoring one day. Lots of entertainment. And then Merseyside Derby. I say Mane scores the winning goal.
Because he's in your fantasy league. I saw that.
He's my captain.
And because it's Liverpool, they always find a way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Buckle?
United Spurs, I'm going to go for 3-2 because it seems to be our number at the time. Actually, no, 3-0.
3-E.
It's Mourinho's
Wait,
old,
wait,
yeah,
3-0.
3-0 Spurs.
We're keeping a clean sheet away from home.
It's clean sheets
Clean
away from
team,
home.
son.
We've got Mourinho. That's his old home. No, do you know what? And we've got a friend called Logan. Logan, he's a half and halfer.
He's a half scarf guy.
Yeah. Spurs are going to kill United tonight. Thank you. I'm hoping I'm not wrong tonight, as I always am. City United, I see City taking that 2-1. They're also missing but Jesus scored some brilliant.
Jesus.
Jesus. I don't want to call him
Jesus.
Yo, Gabriel.
Just call him Gabriel there.
Okay, Gabriel scored some good goals against Burnley, so maybe actually he's back in the team. So yeah. Jesus. And then the Merseyside derby, I want the Toffees to win because Liverpool need to get put on their arse, and I think if there is a team that can do it,
It has to be.
yeah, Everton. So I'm gonna go. Oh gosh, that's gonna be a draw.
Draw.
Yeah, a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Okay. Wow.
Nice
United
scoring.
Spurs. Okay, I gotta think with my heart. We're gonna win 3-1. My head, 3-3 draw. To be mad.
What?
Yeah, I don't want it, but I want 3-1. But I'm gonna say 3-3. City United. Oh, guys, we're rolling back the years here. City are going to win it 6-2. It's going to be mad.
Oh no.
Who's going to score? Jesus?
Jesus to score or 6. No, I'm joking. It's going to be 6-2.
Sterling.
It's going to be a De Bruyne show.
And Warriors.
Are you a time traveller?
Yeah, I'm a time traveller, guys. If they win 6-2, I want some good betting odds for the next game. And then Merseyside Derby. Everton. Watch them just write history and stop Everton. It's Liverpool. 2-1 to Everton.
Yeah.
2-1 to Everton. That's it. So
Gold.
you know it. You've heard my predictions. You know everything's going to be exactly wrong. That's me. Our favourite new segment in the show, Ultimate 30. For those that don't know what it is, 30 seconds for our guest in studio to answer as many questions correctly as possible. We are keeping a log of our leaderboard, and so far JVW girls as well as Chad Can are tied for 5th at the moment. No, I lied.
For 5th.
For 5th. JV
5 points. 5 points.
Wow. JVW
Oh my word.
And Connor.
and Connor are tied for
correct.
1st. That's correct on 5 answers correct. And then Chad Can is 2nd and 4th. And Will has a chance to go first tonight
Top
if
of
he
the log.
gets
Top of the
6.
log.
But he supports Arsenal, so we
Arsenal.
know it's going to be under
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Ask those questions slowly, Ashton.
Okay, so Ashton's got the questions lined up,
Yeah.
and your time starts now.
What are last season's champions of the
Manchester
Premier
City.
League? Which player has the most goals in Arsenal?
Aubameyang.
What position on the log is Arsenal at current standings?
Number 8.
They're actually number 9.
Oh,
Which player came second on the Ballon d'Or standings?
Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah. What club did Unai Emery coach before Arsenal?
PSG.
There we go.
6 seconds left. Okay, who is Spurs' current top goal scorer?
Son.
Time's up. Boys, is it Son or is it Kane?
It's Kane.
I think it's Son.
Is it Son?
Hit us with Google there.
In it.
Okay, hold on. Let's
I'm
look
sure-
Maybe that one gets saved, yeah.
let's see.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Son, boys.
Okay, let me have a look.
In fact, I'll put a 50 rand on it to say Son is the top goal scorer.
I say Kane, man. I think he scored the last time I checked was 2 games before this was 10 or 12.
Oh no, but this is of all time. This season. Otherwise.
Yeah, I'm telling you now, I'm saying it's Son. So,
Crazy stats.
how many was it that he got right on your
Oh
questions?
You got
man,
4 out
I
of
got 4. Son, Kane is the most goals.
Yeah, Kane is.
This season.
no!
That's in all competitions. But look how many assists Son has got.
Yeah, Son's
Holy
got
moly.
crazy
But anyway.
stats.
Yeah, so 2 assists equals 1 goal. So he's got 7 assists. That's 6. That's 3
I
goals.
forgot about Kane against what's it? Red Star.
Yeah,
Red Star,
Belgrade.
okay.
Yeah, that's where it all.
So how many did he get right from
he
your
got
side?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Oh,
4 out of
because of.
Because of the league
Arsenal.
position.
Oh, so we've got a tie for first, and we've got a tie for
second.
second. So well
That's
done,
solid,
Will.
eh?
You got 4 right.
Not bad.
It's just as good as Chad can. And Chad supports United, so make of it as you will. United and Arsenal are both on 4 points.
Standards have dropped, eh?
Standards have dropped. So JVW girls are still at the top of the log. And just a quick shout out to for those that didn't catch our post yesterday. JVW won their first game in the playoffs yesterday. 12
Boom!
no.
Wow.
12-0. It
It's
was
astounding.
amazing. Listen, if you've seen them play, we had the privilege to watch them a bit on Saturday in a training game. There's no reason why they play fantastic football. So they're playing again tomorrow. I think their kickoff is at 10 o'clock. If you can make it, please go down and watch them. They need the support and they will entertain with goals. So keep it up, JVW. Talking League and our listeners are behind you all the way.
Sure.
Speaking of listeners, guys, you need to get yourself to Facebook to SSC Promotions. I can't tell you guys enough to go and do it. They are running crazy specials. Try and get your orders in now so it will be done before Christmas. You can get anything there. T-shirts, keyrings, caps, drawstring bags, gadgets. Guys out there, gadgets, please. And women
And a smile.
And a smile. Wow.
That's solid.
So women, if you need something for your husband for Christmas or your boyfriend or even your Ben 10, go to SSC Promotions and they will help you out. You can find them at SSC Promotions on Facebook and we will drop their details in the podcast below.
Boom.
Guys, yeah, well, do you want to give us a shout out then? Do it.
Okay, I just have a little segment. So I've started coaching privately as well. I'm doing private sessions. And I'm operating under the name Football Choreography.
That's solid.
On Twitter, it's FTY Choreography. and you can actually just send me an email at footballchoreography@gmail.com, and I can send you price listings and we can work together. And then I'd like to send a shout out to my biggest fan, Busi, Uzeni Siaya. She's a big fan and she's been following my journey so far. And yeah, there are a
That's
few
amazing.
other people who are backing me, and yeah, I just like to give all of them a shout out.
Well, you've now got the backing of the Talking League as well. We'll
100%.
definitely promote your coaching out there. I know we've got you on the Twitter channel as well, so we will share the details there for you as well as Facebook. And yeah, guys, please just give him a shout out. He's an awesome coach. I always believe if someone can, if you can coach someone and they're a pleasure to coach, they will in turn be a good coach as well. And that's exactly what happened with Will. He always gave his insight into my training sessions and games, etc. like that, but he always did it with respect and in the right way. And from watching his teams, I actually, one of my soccer schools that played against his, and they gave us a good thumping. I won't say the score, but they did give us a good thumping. But in saying that, you can see they've been coached correctly. So please go and give them a shout out as well. You will not regret it. Guys, thank you for another lekker show. It was good fun. We had some good laughs.
Thanks for having me.
It was good to have an Arsenal fan inside because I ripped him off every week. So it's nice to have one there with us. But thank you very much. Keep the love coming in. Keep sharing all our channels. Keep sharing the podcast. Get it out there. And if you want to also appear on our show, please drop us a message and we will organize.
For sure.
Guys, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
We are out.
Boom! Come on, Spurs!